Okay, I'm going to show you how you can extract some ocean model surface current data from using a tool called ERDDAP, and then visualize where particles in that flow might go using a free program from NOAA called the General NOAA Operational Modeling Environment, or GNOME. So if you start off in ERDDAP, I happen to know that I'm looking for some data from Fukushima, and I want to find velocity data to do my particle tracking. So I'm going to search for that, and it comes back with a couple of data sets here, one from HUI and one from ERDDAP, which is down at Stennis. To make sure that I've got the data, the region that I want, I might take a look at the data first. Maybe plot surface temperature, and you got these sliders here you can control, and maybe I want to look at the surface, so I'm going to slide it over to the left and go down a bit so I can redraw the graph here. And if I like what I see here in the plot, looks like the region I'm interested in. Yep, there it is. So now I can go extract the data using this data access form. So again, you can select the different time and depth and lat-lon range. I'm going to go back and say, let's get from right now, midnight this morning on the 8th, up to through the 11th. So that's 3 days. I just want the surface. I want all the latitude and longitude range, but for speed, let's of the demo, let's take every fourth point in lat and lon. Now I want U and V. I don't need temperature or salinity. And I'm going to create, from this long list of different files, I'm going to create a netcdf file because that's what GNOME wants. I'm going to generate the URL here and paste it into my browser just to demonstrate that the file is completely specified by this URL up here. So you can go back and take that URL and use it in another program later just by modifying the variable names up here and the time ranges and things like that. So you can use the GUI that we just used to create the data, but then you can reuse the data, the URL, to do whatever you want later on without you going back to the GUI. So I'm going to save this file as call it something a little simpler, Fukushima, and now I'm going to go over to the GNOME program, and I'm going to try loading that up. Now before we do that, we need to make a map, unfortunately, to give it the spill boundaries. So I'm going to create a map here, and I'm just going to use the boundaries that we had from ERDDAP. You could go back and look there and see what they were. I happened to remember them with my stellar memory. So it's 34 to 40 north, 138 to 145 east. So you got to make sure these things are set correctly over here. And we say OK. And after we've done that, we can double click on this movers. Type currents. We're going to load that netcdf file we just created, and bring it in, and we're going to turn on the click here so we can see the velocities. Change the scale slightly. Tell it that the data is in UTC. Put in some uncertainties for the currents here, and tell it we're going to go 72 hours. Say OK, and there's our currents. And now we're ready to do a spill. Well, we're almost ready actually. Let's change our model settings here to go for the 3 days that we specified. And again, for speed, let's go take a computational time step from a quarter of an hour to an hour. Okay, so now we're actually ready to do our spill. There's different ways you can do it with a little spray can. I'm going to use this little line tool. I'm going to draw a line through here. Give the spill a name. My spill. You can set the properties there if you want, and now you're ready to go. You just click this little arrow here, and you see those particles along that line start to move with the currents. And in this case here, you can see these particles are quickly dragged in just a couple of days by the Kuroshio over to the edge of the domain, and these particles here are spiraling around in a little eddy. And anyway, it's a very good way to get intuition, as well as hopefully being useful for your research. Where did the thing that I observed today, where might it be in a couple of days? So that's it. Thanks very much.